Man gets woken up by entire neighborhood getting swarmed by wasps. If you are like me, when you see or hear a bee near you, you run away like a screaming schoolgirl, flapping your arms wildly. Does this sound a little familiar? I sure hope so. I don't want to be alone in this. Well, what would you do if you were asleep and heard the shriek of a bee, but the sound was much louder than anything you've ever heard before? This is exactly what happened to this Reddit user. He lives in South Shields, UK, and was asleep when he woke up to a constant loud noise. When he looked outside, this is what he saw. He decided to catch one of the bees to see exactly what kind of bee was swarming his neighborhood. At first he thought they were bumblebees, but thanks to other Reddit users, he found out that they were actually honeybees. When he walked by his sister's window, he saw the enormous swarms through the windows. Where would honeybees like this come from? Especially a swarm this big. It's unknown where these bees came from, but it seemed as though they were there to stay. Some people suggested calling an exterminator. But because the honeybees are dwindling in numbers, it's always recommended to call a beekeeper first. Swarming is what happens when a new honeybee colony is formed. It means the queen bee has left and the worker bees are trying to find a new colony. Swarms can range from just a few hundred bees up to a few thousand bees. Swarming is actually the natural way for honeybee colonies to reproduce. If you find bees in a hole or a mud nest, you can be sure that they are not bee honeybees. That would mean you have a wasp or yellow jacket problem. Honeybees typically do not sting unless they are very agitated. If you come across a swarm of bees, they are likely looking for a new home and maybe a little more angry than they would be if they were found in a hive. Oftentimes when you call a beekeeper, they won't charge you to remove the bees. The reason being is that we are more reliant on the bees than they are on us. Swarms aren't always a bad thing though. It's a good way for bees to increase their genetic diversity. When the old queen leaves, she often takes part of her hive and leaves behind a virgin queen. This virgin queen will then mate with bees from several different hives. The reason honeybees that are swarming are typically not aggressive is because there is a lack of new bees that they have to defend. They are usually focused on finding a new nesting location for their queen instead. There are only 3 types of honeybees in the hive: the queen, worker bees, and drone bees. The queen is the only bee in the hive laying eggs. She lays approximately 1,500 eggs per day. The worker bees are all females and have the responsibility of taking care of the hive. Drone bees are males and they are in charge of finding a queen bee to mate with. They also don't have a stinger. After hearing these facts about bees, I won't be afraid the next time I fly a honeybee. However, if I see a wasp or a yellow jacket, you'd better think I'll run in the opposite direction as fast as I can. Bees are a very important part of our daily lives, even if you don't realize it. Bees play a vital role in pollinating our crops like broccoli, asparagus, apples, and more. They are also responsible for pollinating our flowers and producing honey. The next time you see a bee, try not to hit it. We need them to survive. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 2 videos on your screen for another amazing wonder stories.